Hello, this is Hasan Adil, and over the next 3 minutes I will tell you how to learn physics for your GCSE and be prepared to ace your final exam. So this is my physics grand plan, uh, everything condensed into a single page. So on the left hand side I've listed all the topics from the Oxford textbook and all the topics from the specification. And on the right hand side I have columns next to each row. So here you have an initial self-score where you say, how am I doing in this topic? Would I give myself a grade 9, a grade 7, etc. And over the next few columns are different resources which you can revise from for a topic. For example, once you've completed it in school, you can put a tick mark in the box. Once you've done it from your Oxford textbook, you can give it a tick there. And from the CGP textbook, here where I've written Hasan, this is where you can say that you've gone through your own revision notes. And then once you've gone through the topic on Seneca, and once you've gone through it in whatever workbooks you have. So these are the resources that I used. Don't worry, it may seem overwhelming, but these are the ones that I used. So here you have 3 CGP workbooks. Over here I have 2 workbooks which were given to me by school. I have a stack of notebooks from school, which you can see more clearly there. I had 5 of them. I have here my physics folder where I compiled all of my notes. And here is a list that I've compiled of all of my physics resources, starting from the specification, which is relevant to your exam board, obviously, and then your own school notes, your revision notes, the Oxford textbook, which arguably is the best, your CGP revision guides and workbook, a very useful revision online website called Seneca, 2 additional workbooks, and my school workbooks. And as I said about the Oxford textbook being the most important, it's not only available in paper form, but if your school has subscribed to the website Kerboodle, then you can also access a digital copy of the textbook online. And the first thing that I would recommend you doing is to download and print the specification from your relevant exam board, be it AQA, edXL, Educas, so you can download your specification and print it off to help order your notes. Next, the next best revision notes are your school notes. These are not only the handouts that your teacher would give you during lessons, but also the notes that you take yourself during lessons. These can be additional points which the teacher gives, which can help give you put in more information in the question and help push your grade beyond grade 8 into a grade 9. And thirdly, I have compiled all of my notes and specifications into this folder. It may seem daunting at first having this many, however you have 3 years to compile this many notes and this many practice questions into your folder. This is the Oxford textbook. I believe that the textbooks they produce are very relevant and cover everything that you need to know for the exam. This is an example for the AQA Oxford textbook. If you want to buy one, then you can get one from eBay, for example, the newest copy. Or if your school does have a subscription to Kerboodle, this website here, then you can go to the digital book section and open up your physics textbook from here. CGP is another fantastic company which produces very detailed and well understood textbooks and revision guides. So here on the left is a complete revision and practice guide, and on the right is a much shorter revision guide. I would recommend that you invest in a complete revision and practice guide, as it covers everything and more than what there is in the smaller revision guide. Now, once you've learned something, how can you test if you really understood that knowledge? And the answer to that is to do practice questions. So again, CGP has produced an exam practice workbook, which not only has questions for each topic, but also comes with practice papers at the end. And then here we have a Collins workbook, which is specifically to boost you towards a grade 8/9. So these questions are a lot more in depth and require a bit more understanding. And finally, I have workbooks which have been given to me by my school, and these cover all types of questions for all topics in physics. And here is by far the best revision website there is online, and that is Seneca. This was produced to give online revision material for as many subjects as possible over as many levels as possible. So here is a screenshot for the Physics GCSE for the AQA exam board, and it has covered each individual topic based on the specification. And once you go through these topics, then it will log that you've completed it and will ensure that you retain your memory by reminding you that you need to revise this topic. However, I wouldn't rely solely on Seneca despite its excellence. I would recommend that you also go for another of the previously mentioned textbooks or revision guides in order to ensure that all of your bases are covered. And now the exam. So there are two papers generally. This is specifically for the AQA exam board. It may be different for other exam boards. In paper 1, it covers the first 4 topics, so energy, electricity, atoms, and atomic structure. It's a 1 hour 45-minute exam, which is worth 100 marks or half of your GCSE qualification. And the questions are varied, so you have short answer questions and much longer answer questions. Similarly, you have paper 2, which covers the rest of the topics and does require an understanding of the paper 1 topics, and may require a deeper understanding for some of the longer answer questions. It is also a 1 hour 45-minute exam, which is worth the other 50% of your GCSE and contains, again, a variety of short and long answer questions. Now, in an exam, it will tell you how many marks the question is, and this is something that you should consider when writing your answer. So, given a 1-mark question, your answer should be short and to the point, and if you aren't completely certain, then you can give more than one answer. If the question is longer, then you should give a number of relevant answers or points equal to the number of marks or more. And the real problem is the 6-mark questions, for these require a very, very detailed explanation, which you can't just put 6 points and expect to get 6 marks. You need to put in multiple points, and you need to give deeper reasoning behind those. One thing to be wary of when putting multiple points or more points than the marks of the questions is the listing rule. So this is when examiners are marking, then they'll make sure to check whether your answer breaks the listing rule. So for example, if you were to write 3 different answers for a 2-mark question, so you've given 3 separate points, then you will be given, if 2 of them are correct and 1 of them is incorrect, then you will get the 2 marks for the 2 correct ones. However, the incorrect mark will negate a mark from your answer. Remember words in the question, so make sure that you are answering the correct question. So if it's asking you to explain or describe or compare or to analyze, that you are doing the correct thing. Ensure that you understand the command word which is given in the question. When doing practice questions, and once you've gone through them, make sure that you know what the mark scheme looks like, and because that is very likely to be similar to the mark scheme which will be given on the exam paper should one of those questions come up. On the run-up to the exams, starting a couple months before, I listed all my relevant resources and created additional columns to the right in which I would write down the date on which I went through that resource for the exam. As you can see, some resources I went through on multiple occasions prior to my examination, while other resources I covered once or even no times in the case of the IGCSE book. However, again, I highly recommend to do practice questions, as that is one of the best forms of revision. Now, this is a blank copy of my revision plan, which I will link in the description, along with a link to the copy of my grand plan, which I had mentioned earlier in the video. Once you've gotten through all of your revision material, make sure that you actually revise from it, and most importantly, do practice questions. Do practice questions given to you by your school, given to you at the end of each page in a textbook. Do the practice questions at the start of the workbook. And here are two additional excellent websites which give practice questions on each topic. So on the left is Physics and Maths Tutor. This splits your topics by paper and also allows you to download resources and practice questions to go through along with mark schemes. And secondly, we have free exam papers, which has both the exam paper and mark scheme for the old specification and the new specification over multiple exam boards. Now, one thing I will tell you to do is to physically write out your answer. Don't just think about it, actually write it down in a notebook and go through the mark scheme and make sure you understand why you got a mark or why you did not get a mark. And once you know why you didn't get a mark, then the next time that question would come up, then you can write down the correct answer and know for a fact that you've done exactly as the examiner wants and that you know that you've nailed your exam. Now, to reiterate the key points to take away from this. Number one, once you've completed a topic in school, compile your own notes along with the Oxford textbook, the CGP revision guide, and the Seneca website. And once you've got them all, it may add on a page or two to notes which you would have written yourself. Make sure that you physically have a copy of your notes. The second key point is the mark scheme. Make sure that you understand the mark scheme. Understand why they'd give a mark for you if you've written this down. Why you wouldn't get a mark if you wrote something else down. Thirdly, when you're doing practice questions, physically write out the answers to them because that's what you'd be doing in your exam. And then cross-reference what you've written down as your answer to the mark scheme for that question. And again, try and understand why you got a mark, why you didn't get a mark. And finally, best of luck to you in your Physics GCSE examination.